Hey everybody, welcome to this session here on some year-end engagement activities with Flipgrid. So I'm going to take things a little bit different this time because last time I did do a sort of a how-to session on Flipgrid. So this one is sort of taking it to the next step and looking at some activities you can do in these final 2 weeks that we still have here with students before we wrap things up for the school year. So yeah, I'll show you how you can find that first screencast that I've done that sort of takes you through the how-to. So just talking a little bit about Flipgrid before we start looking at some activities here. So lots of great benefits in using Flipgrid. These are just a few things I want to highlight. In terms of universal design for learning, has some great accessibility tools that are built in with it. Um, Lots of ways the students can use it. So it is a multimodal tool. You can use Flipgrid coming at it a lot of different ways, different angles, different ways to use, not sort of a linear path of how you can use it. So lots of different ways, and we'll look at some of those tools and methods today. Kind of along the line of engagement, students today, a lot of them are sort of in that sort of that culture of using TikTok videos, Snapchat. So Flipgrid can sort of build up upon mediums that they're accustomed to. So you can put in filters, things like that, create sort of short videos that are sort of TikTok-ish in a way, Snapchat as well. So sort of along platforms that they're used to, so ways that they can express themselves. Certainly cross-curricular, I've seen Flipgrid used in tons and, well, basically every subject: music, phys ed, language arts, math, science, social studies, you name it. It can be used in that way. I kind of list here ease of use for students and teachers. I don't want to say anything is easy to use, but certainly when you first go into it, there are a lot of buttons you can click and a lot of different settings. But as you begin to use it after the first few times, that you will sort of catch on and you know see what all the settings can do and how you can set up Flipgrid. It's also a great tool for formative assessment. Continuing along here, so Flipgrid has lots of uses, and we'll see some of these here today and some of the activities we're going to look at. It's a great tool for feedback and reflections. You can use it as a way to have discussions, a message board. There's a built-in whiteboard, so students can demonstrate their understanding, explaining things, record the steps along the way, add different layers to that whiteboard, annotate over images, add sticky notes, lots of things they can do. So sort of along that lines, it can be a screen testing tool as well. I have seen it used for stop motion animation. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the first tool I'd go to for that, but it is a possibility. And also something called app smashing. So you can combine it with a ton of other apps, and there'll be a slide here that sort of highlights that. And it's a great tool for doing that. One of the kind of the common ones that come to mind is using it with Google Classroom. How easy it is to integrate with that, but there's other ways that you can combine it with some other apps and create some dynamic presentations. And best of all, it can be fully moderated, so it's a great setting to have in there where the teacher can post up a grid, a topic, and students can respond to that. And it's moderated in the sense that what the students create isn't released or made, I don't want to say made public, but made open in that grid or in that topic until you decide to make it available. So you can have grids that are set up where students can reply to their students. So when they create a video in response to something, nobody within your class could see that until you've released that first. And we'll look at that setting as well. So couple of other things before we start looking at some of these activities. Remember, thinking about the task at hand, not the tool. So you might see some activities we see today, and you might know of another tool that you feel your students uh, would be better suited for them. You know your students best. So that's always a possibility. And we're not using Flipgrid for the sake of Flipgrid, but you will find how it can sort of cover a lot of bases. This is a great tool to use. And you'll be able to sort of start at your own comfort level. So again, you could be really new to Flipgrid, never used it before, so you'll start at a certain level, and others have some experience and are going to jump into one of the activities here. And so everybody has sort of a different level. I guess the key is whatever level you start off, not to sort of stay there the whole time. Try to move along, try some different things, which highlights the next point, and that is mixing things up. Because you'll find as well too, if using Flipgrid, let's say as an exit ticket. So exit tickets are a great tool to use with your students to kind of check in on things. But if you use Flipgrid for that exit ticket week after week for 40 weeks in the school year, whatever it might be, it can get a little stale. So it's always good to mix things up. And anything you create, you can always practice. So what you create, there's actually a student view built in, and you can do it yourself, run through what your activity looks like, or even just invite a colleague that can kind of click through and go through what you created. And mistakes will happen, and everything is easily fixed. So you might forget a setting here or there, and you can always go back and change it and fix things along the way. So nothing to be scared, I guess. Not scared, but nothing to worry about jumping in. I still use Flipgrid. I still forget to click a setting here or there. And like I said, it's easy to just go back and make those adjustments as you go through. So this is a little bit from an overview of Flipgrid. It's kind of in three parts. First thing is you create a grid. So I kind of think of that as the broad category. So it could be math, language arts, sort of the big picture topic. Sorry, I don't want to use the word topic because the next part is adding topic. So grid is kind of adding the main theme. Topics are sort of specific parts of that theme. So like I said, if it was math, then maybe your topics are about fractions, long division, whatever it might be. So it's kind of a little bit more specific sort of subject area within that main grid. You can see here there are tons of apps that it integrates with, and some of these you might be familiar with and are already using with your students. And then the third part is where students share. So you create the topic, the grid, the topic, and the students respond by uploading a short video. Like I said, that video could be of them in front of the camera speaking, could be of them using a whiteboard and explaining, whatever it might be. They could add filters so it totally disguises what they look like, but really it's about capturing that student voice in a variety of different ways. So here's just a quick slide here, and this slide is posted on our e-learning site. So these are just lots of different ways you can use Flipgrid. I'm not going to go through all of them there, and these aren't the only ways, but these are just some great ways to get started. So built in within the slide deck and also on our e-learning site, this is the screencast from the session as an introduction to Flipgrid. So you can watch that and go through the slides which follow this video on how to create a grid, how to create a topic, and how to get it out to your students and how they're going to respond. So we'll that's a sort of another session, but if you need to review that, that's there for you. So I'm just going to jump ahead a few slides because these ones go through the how-tos of Flipgrid, which was, like I said, in a previous session. And we're going to kind of look at some of the year-end activities. So I will say these activities aren't ones that I don't claim to have invented all these or created all these. They are, some of them are inspired by something within Flipgrid called the DISCO library, which is short for the Discovery Library. And some are ones that I've modified a little bit. Some are ones I've taken just as they are. And then a few I did create on my own. So I'm going to show you the DISCO library. It's kind of a great spot to get started with Flipgrid. So the Discovery Library, these are topics that have been created by teachers, submitted, and they're free for anyone to use, remix, integrate however you want to modify them. So, and you can submit your own. So it's always great to share when you create things. So I'm just going to pop out of here for a sec and go over to Flipgrid. Okay, so here I am logged into Flipgrid, and when you normally log in, it shows you all the grids that you have. And I'm just going to click up here. This is the Disco library that I mentioned. So I'll click on that. And so this will take me to all the different playlists, different topics that teachers have created. There's thousands and thousands of them. I forget the exact number. Sure, there we go. So there's over 20,000 here in this Disco library. So there's lots of different ways you can search. You can click here and search by sort of grade level. Now, keep in mind, these are grade levels as submitted by the person, the teacher, whoever it might be that created it. So kind of keep that in mind. These could be mostly North America, but they could be created by others around the world. And, if you search up looking for something in, age 5, grade primary math, it might not be the same math that we do here in Nova Scotia. So again, you can kind of fiddle around and search out what you need to look for. So again, you can search by audience, you can search by subject, tons of different subjects to choose from, or you can search up a specific topic. Okay. So if I, for example, type in fractions, I can hit enter, and right up top here. So just searching fractions, I get over 4,000 topics here. Okay, so then from there, I can search it by grade level or, besides math, I don't know what other subject there might. It could tie into another subject. You never know. But so you can kind of search from there. So when you search something out, you'll get a little bit of information about the topic that's created here. So you can see who created it, what sort of audience, the grade levels they see it targeted, how many times it's been used, and how many times people have favored it. So that sometimes gives you a little bit of indication of how popular it is, how many people are accessing it, how long it's been available as well. So you can kind of go through, and any one that you can click on any of them and see which ones you like. So let's just say I'm interested in this one here. I can click on it. I'll get a little preview. So you see there's a description here about what this fractions topic is about. Some integration notes. Okay. So this one just says there's no special tips to get this off the ground. Some might have other information depending on the topic. And if you like this, you can just right up here where it says select a grid. I could select the grid that I have and pop it right in there. So you see I have a math grid here. I can just click my math, hit add. And once I do that, it comes into my math topic here. And I could edit anything that this person has created. So for example, she has a recording time of 1 minute 30 seconds. I could adjust that to make it longer if I wanted to. The moderation in this case is off, so maybe I want to have that moderated. So whatever I decide to change, I can just click update topic, and now this is part of my Flipgrid, and I could share this with students if I wanted to. So that's just the Disco library, and I wanted to show that because that is where I got some of these ideas from for these end-of-year activities. So we'll pop back over here and we'll start looking at some of these end-of-year activities. All right, first one here. So this one here is about gathering student input on e-learning or remote learning, whatever you want to call it. But really during this time where students have been at home and we've been providing supports and education for them since March break ended, essentially. So this experience for everyone is quite new, and students would certainly have a great insight. I'm sure as educators we have insight on things that we felt worked, didn't work, things we would like to change or continue, should things continue in the fall. But while this is fresh in the students' minds, why not ask them for their feedback? So why not create a Flipgrid where students are responding to the current situation, things that they liked and disliked, challenges they experienced, some frustrations, maybe some aha moments, things that they really liked, and changes that that would need to be made. So these would certainly support you in your instruction, and just general as a whole, the whole concept of e-learning. What lessons learned can we take from that? So Flipgrid would be a great way to gather that information as well. Next one, here's a little one called call it Future Self. So again, experience is new for all of us here. So have the students record and respond to a topic where they tell their future self about their time during COVID-19. So think of it as a journal, I guess, in some sense, where they're talking about their experience, and and anyone future generation, you can kind of frame it that way. If they were to watch their video, what could they learn from the student about COVID-19? Maybe ways they pass time, things that they had to do. What does self isolation mean, or social distancing, whatever it might be. So just kind of frame in that way where they could reflect upon their time and share their experiences for others to learn. This one here, so a message for an incoming student. So this is a great way to encourage students to inspire maybe next year's group of students that are coming into the school or to the grade level, and they could sort of give some tips to that students. What should they expect moving into that grade level, the ones that the students just completed, and what advice could they give for a student coming in that following year to have a successful year. So just a great way that they could connect with other students, create a grid there where these could be shared, and given advice, and where students could watch these and set them up for a successful year. Next one here, I call this the learning roller coaster. So a little bit related to the first activity I mentioned here about getting feedback. So again, this is kind of more to the students reflect upon their own sort of year of learning, and maybe they just take time to think about a challenge that they encountered and how they turned that challenge into a success. So what did they do? What was the challenge? What did they do to overcome that challenge? What sort of strategies they use, so they can share that. Could be something academic, could be just something social in the school, something even outside of school, something that's related to an activity they're related to, whatever it might be. Just a way that they can sort of share how they overcame this challenge. Next one, call this one the best work gallery. So I know it could be a little challenging as students at this point in time maybe haven't gone into school to collect all their belongings, but maybe they do have some work at home from during the school year. So maybe have them record why they believe this work was their best. So maybe it's an assignment that they've done, a project, some classwork. Maybe they received a recognition at school, or maybe it was something, outside of school, whatever it might be. However, you can kind of tie it into their interests and to their culture. Think about ways that they could talk about this recognition. If you have students that have multiple things they want to show, they could show different things that they've been acknowledged for. And if think about it, if this was during the school year, and during the school year, they could do this multiple times, and sort of it becomes a video portfolio of highlights of their school year. So they could go through and, like I said, they could, if it's a picture or something, they could put that up on the whiteboard within Flipgrid and talk about it and annotate over it, or they could just hold something up in front of the camera, whatever works. These are just ways that they can sort of highlight some of the great work they've done during the school year. Moving along, a kindness challenge. So maybe just have students, I know technically we don't have many more days left with them in the school year, but maybe they can pick a day. If they want to do it more than one, that's even better, where they are asked to spread kindness, and then have them share examples of the kindness that they spread. So whatever it might be, they can just quickly talk about what they did, how they were kind to somebody, during a situation, and sort of spread that culture of kindness around within the students in your class. This one here, so this isn't the saying I've come up with, but I'm sure you may have heard of this. A person who is appreciated will always do more than expected. So kind of continuing along the lines of kindness and creating a positive culture within your school, let's take time to show appreciation. So whether it's a parent, a friend, classmate, teacher, other school staff, community members, whatever, anybody that's really connected to that student, and even if it's in the school. So just talk about people on a daily basis who are should be recognized. They create conditions for excellence in learning in your school. So who are these people that have made a positive impact on a student? And let's take time to have the student show appreciation for that, and what they've done. And it's always great to recognize people that are doing great things for our students. Last two here. So this one is kind of thinking a little bit about the next school year. So we're wrapping things up. So maybe have your students think about if there was some unanswered question that they just didn't really get, what they want to know the answer to, something they've wanted to learn about, something they learned and maybe just wanted to sort of go back over again, or something totally new. So have them share what they want to learn about, maybe, or what they, before they go on to next grade, or maybe they can even set a goal for next year. So just thinking, what as they move along, maybe something that they just get a chance to do, or something that they want to build upon that they've already learned, whatever it might be. They can kind of set that goal or multiple goals and share those with you. And the last one here, think about class introductions. So, students as they move to a different grade level, often, not always the case, but often they do have a new teacher. And I know at the school level, we go through and create class lists and, class compositions and things like that. So why not have the students, they know themselves well, and they can share a little bit about themselves. So especially if it's a teacher that doesn't know the students coming into their class, they could take time and record on Flipgrid about things that the teacher should know about them, maybe about their learning styles, their strengths, hobbies, interests, anything that would sort of support you or to support the teacher next year that's going to be receiving these students, especially in a CRP approach. So great way to learn more about the students as they come into the next grade level, and that teacher who's receiving them can certainly take that information and sort of have a little bit of advantage coming in before the first day of school in September. This last slide here, I'm just going to talk about just kind of some bonus ones. They aren't necessarily ones you could do in these final week or so, but they're ones that are sort of popular ones that I've seen teachers do throughout the school year. So just kind of keep these on the back burner if maybe you don't get a chance to use Flipgrid for the year, but you're interested in using it next school year. So things like book talks, would you rather questions, weekly check-ins, what if scenarios, exit tickets, I'd mentioned those earlier, video journals, interviews, debates. So, and some of these are on that slide that I showed earlier that had a ton of different activities there. These are just sort of some of the ones that I see teachers doing that they've had great success with. So as we wrap things up here, you can always find more areas of support moving along here. So of course, you can always reach out to us by email, tilt@hrce.ca, and we can respond to you if you have any questions, whether it's Flipgrid related or anything to do with technology integration and supporting your students. We do have more focus sessions. We have one more coming up on Google, organizing your Google Drive, and we'll look down the road if we offer some more focus sessions before the end of the school year. Our website, bit.ly.com/tilt eLearning. We post lots of content there, support videos like there are focus sessions that you're watching right now are posted there as well, slide decks, whatever it might be. And of course, stay in the know, sign up for our newsletter at bit.ly.com or just bit.ly/tiltnews. And we'll try to get one more newsletter open for the school year. So we always try to put great information there, tips, tricks, contests, grants, whatever it might be, just good information to know related to technology, rollouts that may come out specific to your grade level. We try to put that in there. And this slide deck, again, will be posted on our website, but the bit.ly/end of year Flipgrid, you can access these resources here as well. So hopefully this was helpful for you. And thanks for watching. And any questions, of course, reach out and we'd be happy to help.